Hi, welcome to another customer self-service video. This is part 3 out of the 3-part series on alternative bidding. In this video, we will talk about the third and final option available in alternative bidding called bundle pricing. A lot of times, vendors would like to offer us better price for products when they are bundled rather than when they are bought separately. This would ensure continuity of business with them, and at the same time, it would work out more profitably for the buyer as well. So that is the scenario with which the bundle pricing typically works. This option is available within the alternative bidding feature functionality within SAP Ariba sourcing, and there are a few changes which you saw which can be done in within SAP Ariba sourcing to get this implemented. Some of the best practice is to be able to be flexible enough with your terms so that the suppliers are able to offer you the best price in terms of bundles, and so that you'll also be able to save some amount of money when you look at products in bundles rather than individually. We will see how this applies to an event and how the supplier will be able to submit and a bid using alternative bidding, and also be able to create bundles. We will also be able to see how a buyer views these bundles which are created by the supplier and how the buyer can take an informed decision. All right, I'm setting up an event at this point of time where I need some safety equipment for my personnel at the plant. I'd like to buy some gloves, headgear, and footwear. So I've set them up as the 3 separate line items in my event. I'll need 50 pairs of each, and I've also set up the prices, which is the ceiling price for each of them. What I'll quickly do is let me publish this event, and I'll let my suppliers respond to this event. We'll talk through the flow of how the suppliers will be able to submit their bundles and how the buyer views them. And towards the end, we'll go through the changes which you'll need to make in your template to be able to enable the bundle functionality. All right, I've logged in as a supplier, and I've logged into the event for which the buyer has invited me for the same safety gear, including 50 pairs of footwear, helmets, and gloves. I see that on my screen I've accepted my prerequisites, and I've also given my primary bid. Uh, we will now see how do I create alternative bids, and specifically how do I create bundles. And now, as a vendor, it might be more profitable for me if I were to offer these products as bundles rather than individually. So I will go ahead and click on create alternative and click on bundle alternative. Let me name my alternative as alt 2, and my first bundle within this, let me call it gloves and headgear. I'll select the gloves, select the headgear, and say OK. And I will say that if you're going to buy 50 pairs of gloves and 50 pairs of headgear together, I'm going to offer you a per unit price of 300 on the gloves and about 800 rupees on the headgear. Additionally, I'll create another bundle where I'll say if you were to buy all items from me, including the gloves, the headgear, and the footwear, I will then offer you a substantial discount. I'll offer you the safety gloves at 200 rupees a piece, the headgear at about 650 a piece, and the safety footwear at about 1800 rupees a piece. I have created 2 bundles now. The first one with for just the gloves and headgear. And what I intend to convey through this is that if the buyer is awarding me the contract for both the gloves and the headgear put together, then this will be my pricing. And if the buyer awards me for all the items put together, this will be my pricing. Now, once I submit this, this will go back in as a bundle input into the buyer. But more importantly, practically where this is typically used is that once you conduct an RFP and see suppliers bundling different items in and giving you prices for them, what you can then do is when you conduct follow-up auctions, you can put all of them into a lot. So your lotting strategy can typically use or leverage the information which you've received through the RFP, through the bundles, so that you'll be able to create much more effective lots and you will have more participation from the supplier on the lots. Right now, I have submitted my bundles as a supplier. I go back into my buyer login and wait for some responses which are coming in from the supplier. All right, on the buyer side, when I log in and I look at the different responses see for the event, I notice that I've recently received a response which is called Alt2, which is my bundled response from the supplier RMG. Once I look at it and deep dive into it, I notice that I've been offered two different kinds of bundles. The first one is when I expand this, uh, I notice that the first one is for the safety gloves and headgear put together, and I'm getting a rate of about 300 rupees a piece and 800 rupees a piece from the suppliers, provided I buy them together. Once I scroll down, I get a different bundle when I purchase all the different items put together. For the gloves, headgear, and footwear, I get about 250 rupees, 650 rupees, and 1800 rupees a piece. So I noticed that these are the bundles which have been created by the buyer. And once I see this, my immediate course of action is one, to be able to close the RFP with the chosen supplier, or two, conduct a follow-up auction and put these specific line items into a lot and invite the suppliers so that there is more competition created amongst these suppliers for the specific lot. You can determine lot profitability using the kind of bundles which the supplier has offered, and then you'll be able to create much more efficient lots. So in this way, pretty simply, you will be able to create a bundled lot as a supplier, and you will also be able to view that as a buyer using the alternative bidding functionality available within SAP Ariba sourcing. Setting this up is fairly easy. Let me walk you through the same. Like we noticed earlier, when we access our templates, all we need to look for is the alternative bidding rule. Once you see this, you will also notice that there is a specific rule which says, can participant create bundles? This needs to be turned on to a yes. In addition, the main rule, which is a parent rule for all these sub rules, is, can participants create alternative responses? This should be turned on to a yes as well. Once these two are turned on to a yes, you will then be able to create events where the suppliers will be able to create these bundles. Of course, there will be a bit of education needed for the supplier to be able to create these bundles for the first time, but going forward, the supplier will be able to create this themselves. In case you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your customer engagement executive, the SAP Ariba support team, or your consultant from the Best Practice Center. Thank you.